Welcome into the Daily Reload, guys. I'm Crash and you're busy, so let's go ahead and get into the shooter news. And I sincerely hope that you guys agree with me that Redfall is kind of in that shooter category. Whether or not you call it a shooter or not, the AAA gaming space has to do with us, and it is in a weird spot with a lot of fumbled releases as of lately. And lately on the kind of funny Xcast, I believe it's called, Phil Spencer popped on and addressed the Redfall controversy right on, which I do appreciate. I appreciate the person's question. So honestly, what I really want to do is kind of react to this because I think it's kind of a microcosm for what is going on in the AAA space right now, why we're seeing all of these fumbled launches and these unfinished games, and I just want to react to it. So what we're going to do is pop over and check it out. I'll leave the description for the full video down below, of course, if you guys want to check it out after this video. But essentially what I think we should do is I'll react to it on screen with you guys, and you please react to it in the comments because I want to hear where your guys' thoughts on this. So let's just go through and play this and stop here and there for commentary.
Released from Arcane Austin, and it's been a tough release week for that, coming out to low reviews and a lot of disappointment from many fans. Can you talk about that? What is your thoughts right now as we head into the first week of this game being out?
Before he answers, I really appreciate that question. Now, I'm sure it probably went through a bunch of PR teams and had to be okayed by both parties and all that stuff, but I really appreciate that question, just going right at it. You know what that is, guys? That's good journalism.
That's more difficult for me than disappointing the Xbox community, and just to
didn't stop doing it.
Kind of watch the community lose confidence, be disappointed. I'm disappointed. I'm upset with myself. I kind of revisit our process. You know, I think back to the announcement of 60 frames per second, and then we weren't shipping 60 frames per second. That was kind of our punch in the chin, rightfully, a couple weeks ago.
So they alluded to knowing there was a problem a couple weeks ago, right? They said it was going to be 60 frames per second, and then it wasn't. So essentially, a lot of people, and this is reaching just a little bit here, but you can kind of see the technicalities here that are the problem. The pre-orders are a huge issue because people were told 60 frames a second, right? The marketing for this game, especially early on, was really good. So people pre-ordered it, and then that ended up not happening. So generally, in any other sector, when you don't deliver on a product, you get a refund, you get a return, you get some of your money back, you get something to make it right. And he talks about how he feels really bad. And I just envision the meme of Woody Harrelson on Zombieland crying with all the money. Like, yeah, he looks like he feels really bad. But even if he does legit feel bad, which I highly doubt, he has much going on here, he still kept the money and they're still keeping the money. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but essentially how these things work are, like I've said, like you buy something from Amazon and it's not right, you can send it back, you can get your money back. Walmart, any of the big retailers, you buy an item and you can get your money back. A lot of these, people might, get the game and not realize, within the first hour on Steam that this thing's broken or this thing doesn't have enough content, it's not working, it's not running on my machine like they said it would. And by then it's too late and you don't get your money back. So he could do all the lip service in the world, but at the end of the day, he's got our money.
Response was not what we wanted. Kind of pick myself up. What can we learn? How can we get better? One thing I'll fight is kind of what went wrong. There's clearly quality and execution things that we can do. But one thing I won't do is push against creative aspirations of our teams. I'm a huge supporter of Arcane Austin, their track record.
So I want to address that just a little bit, which could be something that you could maybe gloss over. If this is the case, it is a good thing. We have to give credit where credit's due. If he actually doesn't oppose directors and studios, creative directors being creative and trying new stuff, then that is a really good thing. We've seen that before in the past, even just yesterday with the Vince Zampella story. They were talking about losing people from Respawn because they weren't allowed to think outside the box. They have a quota, they have to make this much money for shareholders, and so you can't really take any risks, which they can kind of in the indie studios a little bit. And that's where you start to see some of the new studios pop up. Like one of the shining examples of that would be Embark Studios, former DICE employees that wanted to do something different and they branched off. So they had that flexibility. Even Respawn Studios in and of itself is based off, Vince Zampella wanting to do something kind of outside the box with Call of Duty and them not letting that happen. So he went and made Respawn, and then we got Titanfall. So a lot of this stuff happens. Hopefully he really means what he says here, but as with a lot of this, it could be lip service.
Is awesome. I love a lot of the great games that they've built. This is one where the team didn't hit their own internal goals when it launched. I think it's maybe a little simplistic to just say, hey, if you would have just delayed it 3 months, the core creative of the game would have delivered on something that was different than what it was.
So I take a tiny bit of offense to that because he's saying it's simplistic to think it needed more time. When I would argue, he says they're going to keep working on the 60 frames thing here in a little bit. He also said, it didn't meet 60 frames, but they're going to work on that. What is it going to take to work on that? Time. So you're telling me that, giving more people time before you ship the game and you take their money wouldn't have fixed it. But after you have everyone's money, it's okay to take that extra time and get the 60 frames working. So it's simplistic to think that it needs more time, but it needs more time. Same goes with some of the other articles I've read throughout this interview. Again, you guys should watch the whole thing, but they want to turn it around. They want to get the game fixed. They want to add more content to it, which is also going to take more simplistic-minded time, I guess. And also, what does my guy here in the middle know? Something's funny. Something's funny to him, and I don't know what it is.
The team at Arcane is on taking the near-term feedback. We're still working on the 60 frames per second. We have a good timeline for that.
Did he say the word time? Yeah, weird.
We're committed to getting that done, and we're going to continue to work the game. I think we've shown a commitment to games like Sea of Thieves and like Grounded to continue to go and build games. But
they continue to build games in time.
I also know that these games are $70, and I'm not gonna I'm gonna take full responsibility.
So he said, he also knows that these games are $70, but I'm gonna take full price from you guys. Oh wait, no, he said responsibility. He's keeping the money
For launching a game that needs to be great.
Well, of course.
That's it. So guys, you guys can see what I'm saying there at the end, right? Like he said, he realizes it's a $70 game and he's going to take full responsibility. I don't think so. Full responsibility would be allowing people to get a refund, giving some of the people's money back, giving them free games, giving them free content to make up for that $70 price point, not garnering a $70 experience. So while he says he's going to take full responsibility, I just think that's probably all that's going to happen. He's just going to say, I take full responsibility, and then everybody's going to have to move on. They're going to keep the money, and that's going to be that. And then we'll move on to the next one, which is Starfield, I guess, of which he assures everyone in this interview later on that they are helping more with Starfield. They hopped on earlier in the experience than Redfall. So again, it makes you think that they knew there were problems, but they're still releasing the game when they wanted to, and they're still going to keep everybody's money. So as long as this is the case, I don't see anything changing with AAA gaming, AAA shooters, or anything like that. We've just seen it time and time again, and it's going to continue. And that's why around here, we're also rooting heavily for some of the smaller AA and indie studios. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, I would love to hear your opinions down on this in the comments below. I saw this thing, and I know we're kind of maybe stretching what a shooter is for us all, but I thought Redfield was close enough, and this just has an impact on the entire AAA gaming space, so I wanted to talk about it. Thank you for listening to me ramble. I love you guys so much. Thank you for letting me do these daily videos, and I hope to see you tomorrow.